What's going on? What's going on, guys? This is Isaac Paul, and you are watching The Script. So, for those of you all that don't know, I am the host of the Tequila Tales, and what the Tequila Tales is a highly engaging and fully interactive discussion on love and relationships. The way I always explain it inside of the show is that what it is not is a panel discussion. And I always make it clear that I think that panels add tremendous value. But with Tequila Tales, our motto is with love, we all have a story to share. And so our goal is to get those authentic stories from individuals that attend the show, and we've been doing it for 11 years now. It started in Chicago. That's my home. That's where I'm from. That's where I love. And we traveled the show. We're based in Phoenix, Arizona now. So we will go back and forth between Chicago and Phoenix, but it's just really been a great experience, And so being given this opportunity to have this show with blackdoctor.org is just awesome to me because, it not only gives us an opportunity to broaden our message. And, like I said, when we talk about with love, we all have a story to share. We're in a really weird space nowadays, right? I'm gonna do a little bit of monologuing, right? I'm probably going to soapbox a bit tonight. That's what we'll call this episode, the soapbox, because I got some stuff I got to get off my chest, right? So first and foremost, I want to apologize for being a little bit late. This is going to be a abbreviated show. We had some technical difficulties. I will take the brunt of that. That is primarily all my fault, but we're going to have a good show. And I'm still learning my way around the equipment, right? And just this platform and just how awesome of an opportunity this is. And so, just bear with me as we kind of work out some of these bugs. I will tell you what I told a good friend of mine the other day. I said, listen, I was like, it's fun to see where you start so that you can really catalog where you like the growth. And so I have a number in my head. I'll go ahead and share with you all now. I don't think it's going to take, we'll hit our smooth selling space far before here, but just wait and see where we're at show 20. By the time we get to show 20, when I tell y'all, it's about to be a whole vibe, right? Because some things that we have planned are going to be very exciting. There's a lot of things that we've been working on. It's just we're not ready to roll it out yet because I'm the type of person that I actually like to work out the kinks, right? Like before I just present it. So you guys get to see me fight my way into really understanding not only what this is, but allowing it to evolve. But there's some really unique and borderline spicy things that we'll do as this evolves. And so, I'm really looking forward to just, continuing this. But we're going to go ahead and get right into it because, like I said, it's going to be an abbreviated show. We don't have much time. Where do we start? I think that the best place that I want to start is by promoting the next show, right? So if you are here in the Phoenix, Arizona area, our next show is going to be on March 14th. That's a Thursday, not this coming Thursday, but the Thursday afterwards. And the name of the show is called A Fish Out of Water, right? And so in a moment, we're going to really dig into the details of not only what this is going to be about, but I just want to put that out right now, like as a shameless plug for any individual that is either traveling to the Phoenix area and you're going to be in town and you want to experience the Tequila Tales, or if you are in the Phoenix area and you're like, you know what, that looks like something that's hella fun. I want to be a part of it. Tickets are on sale right now. We may even have a few early birds left, right? And so you can find it on all of our platforms, the Tequila Tales. Actually, the best place to go is if you just go to Instagram, right? And just click on the link tree, because, we always say link in the bio rather than me giving you some elongated address. And, but if you search through Eventbrite, we will come up. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do was I did want to talk about the news, right? So what's in the news? It's been a lot going on. I don't know. And I'm going to be monitoring comments also. So for anyone that, is in the live feed, I'm trying to, you all can't see it, but I got a whole workstation going on right here. So I'm looking at the comments from multiple platforms. Unfortunately, I can't always get to them, but I've got a system and I've got some help, right? So if anybody has any questions or anybody has any feedback, I want this to be as interactive as possible. As we move forward, I really want this time that we spend together to be very interactive. But we're talking about what's in the news. And there has been quite a bit that has been in the news. Where should we start? Yeah, I think that we should probably start here. Gwyneth Paltrow says white women should mirror black women's approach to self love. So, as this show becomes more interactive, right, this is going to be one of those moments where I really want the feedback so I can know what sensible people think about this, right? Um, the comment section was not forgiving, right? Like, to be very clear, a lot of times we just need to completely stay the hell out of the comments. The comment section really makes you there are two times in life that I'm concerned about just society. I was going to say America, but I'm going to actually say society, right? There are two times in life. um it is when I go to the self-checkout line in a grocery store, right? Self-checkout line makes me question what the future looks like and what is going on in this world. Okay, I'm not even going to go into a whole monologue about how ridiculous the self checkout. I just hope that you're not one of those individuals that pull up to the self checkout with a cart and 40 items. There's a reason why they have a limit, right? And they don't have the limit because they just think, oh, you shouldn't be able to go more than 10. They have a limit because they know that most people's intellectual quotient can't go beyond 10 items. Like, there's a reason why they got people that are at the cashier station. Take your ass over to the cashier if you don't know how to use technology. If you have a problem with technology, don't go to the self checkout, right? That's for those of us that are trying to get in and trying to get out. But I digress. That's number one. Number two is when you go to the comment section. The comment section is unforgiving, right? And I have my thoughts on that. I have my thoughts on why I think the comment section is just a cesspool of ridiculousness, right? I think I'll start with saying that I think that internet culture has become troll culture. And I almost want to do a documentary on this because I've really been kind of studying it, and I've had some conversations with a wide range of individuals, and I've gotten some interesting feedback. Initially, I was going to place the majority of the blame at Twitter's feet, right? And I don't know what social media platforms you prefer. I don't think Twitter's bad. Under Elon's reign, it's been a bit of a shit show, but nonetheless, it is what it is, right? But I think that when it comes to Twitter, in the early stages, Twitter was all about um, it came about during a period when we weren't taking the internet seriously. It was just fun, and part of the culture was who can get on and who can say the most ridiculous thing ever, right? And it was like shock and awe. And because it was only the early adopters that were on social media at that point, no one was really sensitive. And not that there's anything wrong with having sensitivities, but just saying that everybody that was playing understood it was a contact sport. And I think that we were all so in love with just the fact of the newness and the connectivity of it that we weren't thinking about the repercussions of very negative things that can sometimes being said. And so I kind of feel like even what happened with Kevin Hart, right? Like, it was a ill-informed and stupid comment, and he knew it, right? Like, if you watch Kevin Hart and you follow him, you know that he did not feel. I'm not even going to repeat what it was he said. It was stupid. It wasn't even a funny joke, but that is what Twitter was. It was like, oh, this is random. There's no consequences. I'm gonna just get on and say the most absurd thing that I can, and people are going to respond to it, right? And so I feel like in the early stages, that is what Twitter was. And it just continued to evolve into this space. And then you had that on top of meme culture, where it was like everybody wants to laugh. And so who can be the first person to crack the first joke? Who can be the first one to say something that makes everybody go, oh, that was creative, right? And so it it just kind of evolved, and it turned into this cesspool. Now, when you go into a casual comment section, it's almost like, what is happening, right? Like I recently had a child, my first, and so as a result, Instagram, the algorithm is sending me a ton of baby stuff, right? Like, actually, I blame Instagram with the fact that me even being a father right now, like, they must have knew I was at about that age where it was like, hey, and so they just kept sending me all of this crap. But nonetheless, um, you know, I can't even see a normal baby reel without 90% of the comments just being ridiculous, right? So it gets to the point where I can't really rely upon the comment section in terms of being an adequate representation of how people feel, right? But this is shade, so this is shade room. So take it with a grain of salt. But just know that the comments were not forgiving, right? A lot of people felt like she was being, the word appropriation got thrown around a lot, right? and there were some people that felt differently. There were some people that felt like it was a compliment, right? On a person, I'm curious to know what you guys think. If you're watching live, go ahead and share it in the comment section. I would love to know your feedback. But I do believe that on a level, I do think that what she said was beautiful. Because I do think that black women, black women have had to become strong because of just a myriad of different issues, right? And it's fascinating to me that she was able to recognize that, and she did it because apparently she has some close black women friends, and she went on to kind of really break down exactly what it was that she meant by that, in terms of their willingness to kind of recognize uh their attributes and kind of stand up for themselves. So I thought that was fair, right? I thought, I didn't think it was bad. I would like to know what you all think about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go too much up into it, because I know, a black man capping too hard or caping too hard for a white woman, optically it doesn't always look very good, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and just back away from that one. What else is in the news? Oh, Risa Tisa. Is it Risa Tisa or Risa Tessa? Signs with CAA after TikTok series Who TF Did I Marry hits 400 million impressions. So I don't even have to tell y'all who she is. For those of you out there that don't know, I'll just give a very brief synopsis, right? Like, I'm not even going to go into all the specifics, because to be very frank, I have not watched it. Okay, and the piece of me kind of refuses to watch it. Right, I'm gonna put my foot down for my own personal reasons. But man, you talk about a woman taking lemons and making lemonade, right? So for those of you out there that don't know, Risa was an individual who basically got bamboozled. She was interested in a man. She started dating a guy, like, I think it was like right before the pandemic hit. And shortly into the pandemic, they end up moving in together. Long story short, it does not work out the way that she hoped it would. Okay. And apparently he was a bit of a swindler, right? That's about as far as my knowledge base goes, because like I said, I refuse. I refuse. But it has been fascinating watching people's feedback on the drama that apparently is her life, right? And the fact that she got signed by a major agency, I almost got to do a little bit of research on this, right? Because why? Like, why? Why? Okay, so she obviously made some unwise decisions inside of her love life, right? I get that. And she was able to articulate it in a way that we all found entertaining. D- Now, okay, if she's getting signed so that they can turn this into a movie, then I get that. But I'm trying to figure out the connection between I make bad relationship decisions to I'm also a creative that can continuously draw people's attention, right? And so, this is another one of those things where I'm like, I'm very interested to get your feedback on how you all feel about this Reese's situation, right? Because I know that there's even been popular individuals. That's why I'm gonna choose my words carefully because Charlemagne, caught some heat because of some words that he said, not knowing how she looked, or anything, but he said some things that was deemed insensitive, right? And right now she's winning, right? She's been on Good Morning America, like she's on the rise. So, you have to be careful when you speak on individuals that have the spotlight on them. Um, but like I said, on a personal level, I just, you know, yeah, I'm curious to know you all's feedback on that. I I don't think that she is a, and you know what, you guys, I apologize because I did not transition into the Risa thing. Like I told you, this is a process, so forgive me, you guys. But like I said, I've been, when it comes to this type of situation, right? I feel like in society we are in a very strange space. Almost like with the Cat Williams stuff earlier this year, where I feel like we are continuously celebrating. And I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but I made a post at the beginning of the year, where I'd, and it was around the time that the Cat Williams interview was on everybody's tongue. And the basic gist was like how sometimes we have to be cautious about what we consume because, in many cases, I think that we have a tendency to um, downplay that the content that we consume leaves residue, right? And so, like, even when we go into like the comment section and stuff like that, when I say stay out of the comment section, I say that playfully because I obviously want you inside of the Tequila Tales comment section because that's what allows something to go viral, right? But I the unfortunate reality is that many cases it leaves residue, right? That can influence your real life interactions and relationships beyond the virtual space. You know what I'm saying? And so uh, I've found myself very cautious when it comes to consuming content, and not by any means that I'm like righteous and I don't, I'm only watching TVN or anything, like, no, far from that, right? But in tapping into something, when it comes to the situation, I think what concerns me is that people are sinking into it, and it can be something that causes either friction or apprehension inside of your romantic endeavors because you're thinking about this experience. And so you're carrying all of this drama, and you believe that just because you saw something on the internet, that that is an accurate picture of how everybody feels, right? Or how everybody acts about a certain situation. And so, when it comes to things like that, yeah, I'm always a little cautious about the content that I consume because I recognize I'm someone that knows that even though I can look at it and know this is the internet, or I can look at it and know like, oh, that's whatever. depending upon the space that you're in and how vulnerable of a position that you're in, you have to really be honest with yourself and assess whether or not you can handle whatever it is that you're about to consume, right? So I mean, if you're in a good space and this is just entertainment and it's whatever, great. But my concern is if you are single and you're interested in finding someone, but you're always on these relationship sites, right? And all you're getting is this foolishness and this nonsense. You're going to carry that residue into your next interaction. And whether or not you want to admit it, it's going to influence how you operate. You know what I'm saying? And so, when it came to this, I was just like, I'm not about to spend 6-7 hours watching this woman's relationship issues. However, I definitely salute. I definitely salute what appears to be her turning an unfortunate situation into something that was hell in incredible. Like, so, shout out to Risa Tisa, I believe is how she says her name. So what's next? Hey, gotta talk about my man Diddy. I'm gonna be real brief with this one. So those of y'all that don't know, Diddy has been under fire significantly lately. He, it started with him and Cassie. She filed the lawsuit. They settled for $30 million. Everybody knows that. But ever since then, man, it's been like a cascading train of events where right now I think he's got like 3 active lawsuits and allegations, that's going on. And so, who knows how it's going to play out, but just know that there's a lot of other individuals that are being entangled in this, right? And so I'm going to go somewhere different with this, right? Because, I know that we have a tendency sometimes to, look at it. You see, I put the picture up with him and Meek because Meek right now is under fire. Okay. Meek was one of the individuals that was implicated as being engaged with a lot of Diddy's extracurriculars. That's the best way for us to put it, right? There was a lot of extracurriculars that Diddy's been involved in. And, Twitter has been kind of on a tear because they did a search and they found out that Meek followed a couple of websites that were, gay. He follows a couple of gay websites. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? But his behavior since then has been incredibly erratic, right? So, it's like I said, I'm gonna take a different space because this isn't about ridiculing like who he may potentially be, right? But what's unfortunate is that, if he is part of the LGBTQ community, right? Whether he's gay or bisexual. The fact that he, it's unfortunate to get outed this way. I'll put it like that. It's unfortunate that he got outed this way to whereas he can't live his truth. And so now he's just doing a bunch of aggressive overtures, right? To try to prove to us that he's 100% man. And like I said, I won't go to the specifics, but just know it's kind of absurd, right? So again, in the comments, share your thoughts, right? Let me know what you think about it. But it is one of those things where I say to myself, like, man, it's it is bizarre to watch it unfold, but the other side of me says it's unfortunate that, man, he's got to be having a worse week right now, right? Because and this is something that I just know personally, that there is nothing worse than not living your truth, right? Not having the capacity to be able to say, this is who I am. And I feel like, on some level, we've always had to fight with that when it comes to like society as a whole. But when it comes to social media and the speed with which information travels, it's incredibly unfortunate that, he has been outed in a way and he's doesn't even know how to articulate whatever it is, right? But just know I'm not gonna make jokes about it, but it is unfortunate. So with that being said, we've obviously covered a bit of enough. What I want to do now is I kind of want to take you guys inside of the show. So this next section we'll call Inside the Show, where I told you about what Tequila Tells, what it is that we are. We are all about open communication, open dialogue, and sometimes these exchanges can give you some moments to think about. So I'm going to cue up this one clip, and like I said, when we come back, we will discuss. Or you can share your thoughts.
Like, is she financially secure? Like, why would I marry somebody if I'm good on my own? It's like that's the basis. Like, the bare minimum is, like, does she have her shit together? Is she financially secure? Is she emotionally stable? Is she emotionally intelligent? Like, those should be the bare minimum. I mean, obviously, chemistry is going to take a part in it and that sort of thing. But you get to a certain point, at least I'll speak for myself, at a certain age, my life is fantastic as a single person. Why would I bring anybody into it that isn't just going to add to it? So you have to meet this, not bare minimum, you have to meet this elevated level of requirements for me to even consider bringing you in. Because I can be in Cuba without you. So you're either going to show up and make that better, or you're not going to show up at all.
Okay, I've got a comment over you.
And then I got another one. So, just to piggyback on what you said about intentions, I think it's, from my perspective, having intentions and intentionally dating is really more an internal process of being really clear about what I want and why. And some of those things are kind of tick box things like marriage and children, but other things are just like, how do I want to feel with my partner? How do I want to show up in a relationship? And honestly, again, to your point, I would never go on a date and be like, I want to get married and have kids. Like, it just doesn't make sense. That's not how you have a conversation with somebody in general. However, if someone were to ask me, I would tell them yes, because that is my truth, and I'm not going to shy away from that. But just in reverse too, like, I don't find it intimidating if somebody says, well, I don't want to have children, or if some man is like, I'm just trying to have sex. That's on them. That doesn't mean that I have to do that, right? So I don't feel like the intimidation piece, I don't completely agree with you on that. Just because somebody like has an intention and wants to get married and have kids, and I say that doesn't mean I want to do it with you, though. I'm still figuring it out if you are the person I want to do it with, because people will say anything. Right. I'll leave it at that.
All right.
There were a few comments. There was a comment posed, what is the benefit for men to get married? Statistically, men who are not married die sooner. And that covers a span of over a century. And women who are married typically die 5 years more than what is the median average in this country specifically. So the benefit for men is they actually care for, and if we're gonna make this like gendered and super heteronormative, they care for themselves when they are married to a woman more across varying degrees. And then there was also the narrative of men are not afraid to commit, they're afraid to be trapped in the wrong commitment, which is ahistorical, because men leave. We can go, again, back a century, and we can talk about GIs who leave or have double families. Across race, we can see men who have decided, this is not for me anymore, and they leave. And in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, even when black women were working outside the home, black men still had the financial means, sharecropping and all, to leave if they did not want to be committed. And we bring this current century, we now have black women, the social narrative is that we are making these choices. We're saying we have the financial power to make decisions at a slower rate. We now have the scientific power to say we want to produce at a slower rate. We can produce whenever we want. So we're making these decisions that we're still making our partners, and there's no trapping. There's active choosing between two. So the narrative of someone's going to get trapped is just not true. People make a choice to stay, leave, or say no thank you, and to say otherwise is just not aligned with history.
Okay.
Listen.
That was a great comment.
Okay. So, one of the things that, I find really intriguing about our discussions has always been, uh, like I said, I make it a point to attempt to nuance the topics where we're not just talking about what appears casual, right? And it's not that, you know, sometimes you can't have a conversation about like something that's completely baseline where it's like, okay, are you comfortable with going 50-50, or are you interested in who should be paying for this and who should I that is important, but inside of the space of how we develop relationships, I always find it to be important to nuance the discussion and to take it a few levels deeper, right? And so in this next segment, which I kind of wanted to speak about, I wanted us to talk about something specific. We'll call this the breakdown. Okay, so this is the breakdown. And I got a question, right? I have a question, but I want to start with this clip that, as of right now, it is, I believe, the second most popular piece of content that we posted to TikTok. And all I will say before I push play is that the men loved it. Okay. The women, not so much, but the men absolutely adore this. Okay. So just keep in mind now, this ain't Kevin Samuels type of love, but I think overall they are really into the comment that this woman made. And so I just, want to give you all an opportunity to take a look at it, and you all can share with me not only your thoughts, but I'm actually going to pull the discussion away from the comment that this woman made. Okay.
Um, Women, no, let me, hold on.
Let her
Let me
finish.
finish. But as for this conversation, I will admit I am one of the few people who did not know who Simone Biles was until this situation. However, I want to say something, and I know some of y'all might feel away, get mad at me. Men have always been the prize. Women, no, let me, hold on.
Let her finish.
Let me finish, because let me finish. Men have always been the prize. And I'm going to explain what I'm saying. Women marry who they can. Men marry who they want. You can get offended by the statement, but if you really sit down and you think about it and you be honest with yourself, that is a very valid statement. Also, not only that, but by him saying that he is the prize, that does not make her not a prize. I myself am raising a young man. I'm raising my son is 7 years old. He is a miniature Einstein. He has manners manners are beyond most adults that I've ever met. His style of dress, his respect of himself as well as others. I am instilling in him his faith, his spiritualness. I'm instilling in my son to be a prize, especially with these days, the way that women are raising these young girls. And it's unfortunate, but and also the numbers, it's always been since the beginning of time, women will fight over a man, you know what I'm saying? But they'll accept, but at the same time, they're going to accept, like back in the traditional days, that as long as the house is taken care of and he pays all the bills, he can have those 2-3 families up the street. You know what I'm saying? Men have always been the prize. We have gotten to a point where we disrespect our men so much. I worry so much about what the world is going to look like when my son becomes of age to date and to court and to marry. Because I will never let any of your daughters tell my son that he is not the prize. That will never be a thing. And if you have sons, nephews, whatever the godchildren, you should not ever tell your son, oh, she is a. Do you guys see what type of young girls are being raised? So you're telling these young girls that they're a prize over the son that you're putting your time, that you're actually the man who's supposed to be the provider that you guys are looking for, the man who's supposed to be the protector that you guys are looking for, and you just want to sit back and live a soft life. He's not the prize. That will never make sense to me. And I'll leave it there and let you guys marinate on that.
Okay. That she said a mouthful, right? So obviously, you don't have to necessarily agree with what it was that she said. I can understand you not 100% agreeing with the point that she made. And I've had an opportunity to have a discussion with her, and she's actually a really nice and intelligent woman. She's actually a widow also, because again, the comments, boy, I'm telling you, stay out the comment section. People can sometimes be brutal in those comment sections, right? Because one of the main things that I'll see people say is, well, where's the ring on her finger? And so on TikTok, somebody said that and made a whole reel. You know how TikTok has it where you can like reply to content with your own content. And so this woman did this whole little thing and she was snapping back and everything and was like, yeah, well, I don't see no rings on her finger. And sure enough, the woman slides right in under the comments like, well, I'm a widow. Total about face, right? So again, we out here on this Twitter nonsense, right? And trying to rouse everybody up without really understanding that life is so multidimensional and we keep trying to make it two-dimensional. We keep trying to make it, A to B, as if there aren't so many different directions that comprise all of us, right? But, we won't get into the semantics of the comment. But what I found interesting, because as a slight pivot, and this, I'm going to use this as a slight transition, because I need y'all to help me do my job. Okay, so I actually planned on this segment of helping me do my job to be something else, but you might be able to help me out here also, right? Because one of the most difficult things in these events is getting men to show up, right? Now, I have my own thoughts about it. And when it comes to the Tequila Tales, we've always done a good job of attracting men and what I consider to be the right type of man, right? In a sense of once men come into the show and they realize that I keep everybody honest and that, yes, I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm challenging everyone. I'm challenging men and I'm challenging women. Then they get comfortable because they're like, okay, he's not about to just pander to the woman's, perspective, right? And so then they stay and then they invite their friends. And so I'm all down for the organic growth, right? But whether it be a speed dating function, anything inside of this realm, it is literally impossible for people in this space to get men to attend. Now, I got my own thoughts. I'm curious to know what you all think. I'm curious to know why you all think men don't show up to these kinds of events. And I don't mean showing up in these kind of events in meaning Tequila Tales specifically, but I mean in terms of whether it be speed dating, whether it be socials and things of that nature, right? Like, I remember back in the day that all you had to say was it was ladies' night. I remember coming up, women would be free before like 11 or 12, men paying from the moment they unlocked the door, right? And we were comfortable with that. We were comfortable with our role of coming and not just providing, because I don't think it was just about being a provider, but I believe that we had a genuine interest in being in the vicinity of women. It was like, where the women at? right? And so I'm trying to figure out what has changed. Is it a social media thing? Is it because you can follow all of the personalities or influencers that you got a crush on, and so there's no longer a demand to be where the women are at, right? Is it that? Is it a financial thing? You know what I mean? Because and when I say help me do my job, because I'm the type of person that I'm like, I have my show for whoever wants to come, because it's not a singles event, right? It's where intellectuals gather to have intellectuals with ratchet tendencies gathered to have substantive conversation, right? uh Whether that is 50-50, if it's 70-30, it is what it is. Now, we've had some people that have connected. We've had quite a few that connect at our events, but that's never been my purpose behind it. But again, because I haven't been able to read all the comments right now, because like I said, I got a lot of different stuff going on. I'm still getting the hang of this, but I'm going to go back and read all the comments. So even if you watch this video after the fact, I want you to include your feedback. I want to know your feedback. I want to know how you feel, or what you feel is the reason that it's been hard to draw men to really any kind of an event like this, right? And so the reason why I showed that clip at first is because it feels like if you're inside of the entertainment, promotion, whatever space, men have now become the prize, right? Women used to be the prize. Women were the lure. When I came up, women were the lure. Okay. You never wanted to go to a party and it was a hard leg party. When you go into the party and it's 60, 70, 80%, that's way too much testosterone in the room. Who wants that, right? We wanted to go somewhere where we knew the baddies was showing up, or women in general. I'm trying to figure out what has changed. Is it a generational thing? I feel like what's fun about having this platform and it being with blackdoctor.org is, if we're keeping it a buck, you're not a fan or following blackdoctor.org and you're not an intellectual on some level. So I may be reaching to make that assessment or that assumption, but this ain't the shade room, right? The 2.678 million followers that they have, them ain't now, we can walk and chew gum. So I'm not saying that y'all don't follow the shade room also, right? Because, sometimes we need a little bit of ratchetry to balance out our diet. But I'm saying, if you care about your health and you care about your health to the point where you're like, I need to be a part of a network that can put me in line with Black physicians, that lets me know on the level you read. Okay. So it's going to be fun to have blackdoctor.org as an extension to the Tequila Tales, right? Because, while we may get a little spicy and turned up and get a little ratchet from time to time, you don't come to an event, a show that's centered around engaging discussion and not being intellectual. I don't care about your job. I don't care about your 9 to 5. I don't care about your salary, right? I care about, do you think deep thoughts and do you have the capacity to share those thoughts, right? And so I feel like blackdoctor.org is low key a perfect partner in this space. And so, when we have these sessions, like I told you, I'm gonna be studying the comments. I'm going to study the comments because I really want your feedback. So any question that I've asked, if I haven't had an opportunity to address it virtually, up front, just know not only am I reading it, but it may be addressed in the future. So I don't have much time because, like I said, we started late. Just know that next week I've got Dr. Love on. I've got Dr. Love. So all I'm gonna say is I don't know where Dr. Love's credentials comes from. Okay, he might be a little questionable, but just know that he's on. If you got questions, put them in the comments, and hopefully he'll be able to address them. Right. So, as always, you guys, it was a pleasure. If you all don't know, the script is every second and no, first. Is it first? Is it first and third? First and third Tuesdays. Look at me, acting like I don't know my own show. Second and fourth. But it's been a pleasure, you guys, man, and I appreciate you all tuning in. Until the next time.